What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back once again, and we are going to be talking about more The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, episode 4. Now, this episode was intense. Now, before we get into it, I will say if you guys have not seen the episode, go check it out, and we will get back to it. But if you guys seen the episode, you guys don't care about spoilers, we're going to go ahead and get into it. This episode basically takes place right literally after the events, of course, of last week's episode. But we see a flashback in Wakanda when Bucky was there 6 years ago, and we see Shiva and, well, everybody else part of that inner circle helping Bucky actually break his mind control. And this was a very intense moment, and I think Sebastian Stan did a great job out of showing the emotion and the regret that he did being under the control of, you know, Hydra for so many years, and he finally broke it, and you just saw this relief of like, I'm free. And then we go into the present, and we basically inform that, hey, Io basically comes back, and she basically states, you got 8 hours till you need to give us Zemo. And we basically do see where he agrees. He informs them of, okay, look, we got this amount of time before they come and get him. And we do see that in this episode where Bucky is pretty much just trying to keep the peace between what he owes the Wakanda people, as well as also what he's trying to do right by Steve, as well as also even by Sam as well. And throughout the episode, we do see where as soon as they're going to go try to talk to some contacts with some kids. Now, I will say this. Zemo is kind of stealing the show right now. He is. He's really stealing the show right now. But it's kind of interesting that we see how Zemo is using just being charismatic in this entire episode, where he actually gets these kids where they're looking for Carly. He gets them to talk, and everyone else, unfortunately, does not. They are unable to talk to him, and just like, oh, okay, we're just going to talk to him. And he basically informs them, hey, we're not going to tell them anything. And then when they go back to the apartment, we see not that long where, of course, John Walker and everybody else shows up. And what was interesting in this is that John Walker in this episode literally is trying to become more like Steve Rogers. He's trying so hard, but unfortunately, he's not. He's not Steve Rogers. He's not Captain America. And we do have some moments in this where he tells them, okay, look, this is what we're gonna do. And once they get the location of Carly where she's at, paying respects to, I guess, the woman that helped raise her, we see where Sam says, okay, look, let me go in, let me talk to her, since I have a way with people, because especially with dealing with vets and soldiers, maybe there is a lot of things maybe I could do. So he goes and he tries talking to her, and it seems like they understand one another, but of course John Walker can't, unfortunately, just leave things alone, and he just goes in there and he basically tells Bucky, look, I'm not gonna wait. And as soon as we see that, they go in there, they start fighting, they start trying to chase her, and it just can't. So we do see right when they get away from her, because after retrieving the super serum that was left at a hidden mortuary, we see what was very interesting is that he basically starts going after everybody else, saying, okay, look, we need to make sure that, oh, well, I'm going to arrest Zemo. And Zemo gets away. We see Zemo get away, and he goes after Carly, and he actually starts shooting her. He actually does shoot her, and we see where he destroys pretty much all the super serum, and there's only one left. And of course, John Walker finds it, he keeps it, and he basically does make sure that no one else knows about it. And then later on in the episode, he starts talking to his friend about it, but before then they return to the apartment, and of course Zemo's there, and we see everybody else, and he asks Sam, he says, if you had the chance, would you take the serum? And he says no, and he says, you didn't hesitate. He says, that was actually very interesting. And he basically looks at him like, okay, why would you ask me that question. But then he also says that there should be no super soldiers because they play God. And he looks at him and he says, well, isn't that something like someone trying to be a god would say? And as soon as that happens, we see where John Walker and Lamar come in, and they're trying to say, oh, well, Zemo's going to come back with me. But before they even do that, here comes, of course, the Dora Milaje, and he basically just says that they don't have jurisdiction. They're like, oh, we have jurisdiction wherever. Fight breaks out. I'm not going to lie, John Walker gets his ass kicked. You know, the so-called Captain America does get his ass kicked in this episode. And what's so funny is we see Zemo is drinking, watching, so's Bucky, Sam's staying out of it, and they're like, okay, should we do anything? And they're just sitting there, and that's what's so funny about this. There was a lot of comedy in this episode if you were able to catch it. And they're just like, okay, well, we're finally going to help. So they start helping. Everyone gets their ass kicked, and we see where even Yori basically does something to Bucky's arm, and it just goes down, and he's like, what the hell? And of course, Zemo escapes, and that is the last we see from Zemo for the episode, because he just, you know, casually gets out, and he's able to escape. And then once this happens, later on in the episode, where John Walker literally is like, you know, they're not even super soldiers, and he got literally just destroyed by these women because they were more properly trained, I guess, than he was. And we see where at the very they start looking for Zemo. They're like, okay, we gotta find him. So they leave, and of course everyone else leaves. And then John starts talking to Lamar about, okay, you know, if you had it, would you do it? He says yes, because maybe it would help a lot of people. And we do see where he informs him, okay, you know, would you do it? And he says, yeah, maybe. And then we go into Karli basically starts dealing with the Shadow Broker, and the Shadow Broker threatens her, but she does come up with a plan to basically try to go after Sam and his family, because she threatens, of course, his sister and his nephews. He finds out after his sister calls him, giving him coordinates of where Karli is. Karli basically is wanting to meet Sam, have him go on her side, and he basically tells her, okay, so you're gonna threaten my sister and my nephews, this is how we're gonna do it now. And she basically tells him that, oh, I wouldn't do that, I'm not gonna hurt them, but she does say he wants her on his side. And Bucky's in the background, because Bucky did say, hey, I'm not gonna have you go alone. And we see where as soon as this happens, John Walker and Lamar find the location of, I guess, the base of the Resistance, and as soon as they start fighting, Lamar gets captured. There's a big fight that breaks out, and right when things start happening, which was crazy, because we do see at the very end where Lamar gets captured, and there's, like I said, there's a big fight that breaks out, and we see where even Sharon, she's helping, because of course Bucky did call her earlier in the episode, says, hey, you know, I need your help again. And she says, look, you know, the more you keep asking, the more I'm sticking my neck out for you guys. And he says, look, I already know I owe you, but I'm gonna do what I can. And as soon as we see this, it's really interesting, because we see signs where John Walker did take the serum. He did. It's been pretty much, goes without saying that he did take the serum. And then as soon as the fight breaks out, and looks like Karli's about ready to try to kill John Walker, Lamar stops her, and then she just slams him right into a pillar, and unfortunately he does die on impact. And of course this pisses off John Walker. He loses his best friend. He goes into like a rage frenzy, goes after, I guess, her second in command. And what was crazy is that this guy that literally was her friend does get killed by John Walker in the middle of a square. This is what was so crazy, is that he literally just kills someone in the middle of a square, and everyone's taking their phones out looking in shock, and he just beats the ever-loving tar out of this guy like there's no tomorrow. And he just kind of looks up, and almost like what, you know, Steve did against Iron Man in Civil War, but of course Steve stopped. This guy didn't. He just beat the living mess out of this guy, and as soon as he stops, there's blood on the shield, there's blood on him, everyone's looking at me, he's just kind of looking like, yeah, I did it, so what? And you see Sam and Bucky like, what did we miss? Like, what happened? And they're like in awe. And then we see, of course, Karli, she escapes at the very end of the episode. So overall, the episode was very intense. I was not expecting that to happen at the very end. It's getting more intense. I think, if I'm not correct, there is 6 episodes for this. I'm not entirely sure. For the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I'm not 100% on that. Don't quote me on that. But it's getting intense by every single episode, and this does not feel like a show. It feels like a movie. It feels like a legit movie. And I'm enjoying every second of this now. Again, it's kind of interesting how there's been a lot of memes, of course, with Zemo, and I'm actually enjoying Zemo. I'm actually enjoying, just how funny this character is, and just how funny, they're making the Falcon, the Winter Soldier, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. So let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Did you guys think John Walker was going to do that? I'm not really familiar with him in the comics, so you guys may have to help me out. But what did you guys think about this episode? Was it crazy? Did it suck? Was it intense? Was it great? Was it amazing? What was your thoughts for this episode? I'd love to know your thoughts down in the comments down below. If you guys are new to the channel, consider subscribing, leave a big fat like on the video. I greatly appreciate it. Helps me out, helps against the algorithm. Again, I just greatly appreciate all the love and support you guys have given me. Thank you first off for the 2K subs. I thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Let's keep growing. Let's keep growing as a family. Let's keep growing as a community. Let's have a great conversation in the comments down below. Click notifications so you guys are always notified. Be a big fat like once again. I'd greatly appreciate it. And as always, I'll see you guys on the very next video.